It is 5:30. I want to welcome you to the January 2025 Fannin County Board of Education meeting. Anybody excited about 2025? It's a new year. It is the year of Jubilee. I'm believing for good things for my life, your life, and the life of these kids in this school system. So Amen. I'm excited about that. So with that, I want to welcome those that are watching online as well as those that are here in the boardroom. And so, Madam Superintendent, with that, we will open this meeting.
Thank you, sir. And I'll say that no one else did, but I'll say that I'm excited about 2025 and starting over. And I'm just thankful that the good Lord's letting me see 2025. And with that said, I'd like to invite Mr. Mathis forward to do the invocation. If everyone would rise, and then we will remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's go, Lord, in prayer. Dear Lord, we are so thankful for all the blessings you give us each and every day, God, and we are thankful for this new year, Lord, and I just pray that each of us would seek to put you first in this 2025, God, and just to serve you. I thank you for this Board of Education, God. I thank you for our 3 new members that we have, God. I just pray for peace and unity for our board moving forward, God, that you would give them the wisdom and discernment for all the decisions that they have to make, God. I truly believe that you have everyone here for a reason, God, and we just thank you for that. Pray for our school and our students and our staff, God. Just let them know how much we love them and care for them. And thank you for this community that we're so blessed to live in, Lord. And just again, for all your goodness, I pray for protection for everyone in the upcoming storm, that you would just keep us all safe and just be with this meeting tonight. And we pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Deputy Sirianni, would you come lead us in the pledge, please, sir?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. You may be seated. And Mr. Chair, with the coming of 2025, each new year, we have board reorganization according to our policy.
Madam Superintendent, I would defer chairmanship to you.
Thank you, sir. I assume chairmanship of the board for this board reorganization. At this time, we need to identify a chairman for the board for 2025. I am opening the floor for any nominations for chairman for 2025.
Madam Superintendent, I would like to nominate our current chair, Mr. Mike Cole, to serve as chair for 2025.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other nominations? With that said, I'll take that nomination as a motion. Do I have a second?
Second. Third. Fourth.
Thank you. In following the example of the chair, to affirm raising your right hand. That way, and the reason we do that, y'all, Miss Stephanie in the back, wave, Miss Stephanie. She's taking the minutes, and one of her nervousness was she didn't know everybody's voices. So if y'all can just kind of help her out. So do you have the motion in the second, Stephanie? All right, thank you. All right. With that said, any discussion? Okay, I can get you to vote again. All right, thank you. Whew, by the grace of God, I'm turning that back over because I don't like doing that.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent.
Yes, I don't like that.
The second item on the agenda of part A is to nominate the vice chair. So I will take nominations at this time for vice chair. I will nominate Bobby. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a nomination and a second. Or any other nominations? Any other nominations? said, all in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous, and there you go. It is unanimous. Thank you so much. Madam Superintendent, item B.
Yes, sir. It's, according to policy and law, we set time, place, and date of board meetings for 2025, and this is to be advertised in our legal organ, which is the News Observer. Of course, the board can choose to postpone or reschedule meetings as needed. However, we can legally change it one time a calendar year, and that can be found in the Chapter 13 for school board meetings of the Georgia Code. And with that said, I'd like to make a recommendation of keeping our board meetings on the second Thursdays of each month, and with the start time of beginning at 5:30.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent.
I make that recommendation, sir.
We do have a recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that? All in favor by raised hand? It's unanimous.
Can we have some discussion on that in just a moment?
Is that I don't see. Nothing back up now.
Let's do that to the next item, because I think that's what you're going to talk about. Item C.
Yeah.
Okay?
Item C is board work sessions for 2025, and what I would like to do is to engage the board in the discussion of resuming in-person work sessions starting in the year 2025. With that said, Mr. Chair,
Okay.
I'm
You're-
not making a recommendation at this time, but
You're
I'd like to open
asking,
it for discussion.
I got you. Yes, ma'am. So it's, the board is open for discussion. Anything you have to say on those work sessions?
And just to get, if you don't mind, for just a little bit of historical perspective, work sessions don't have to be set. We can work them as a called meeting, but I would like in unity to agree how we're gonna move forward doing business with work sessions as an opportunity, which of course it is public meetings, to be able to engage in conversation, and as this board gets to know each other and know school business better, not better, everybody know, I don't mean it like that, but as we come together as in unity, you know, y'all, when the team comes together, you have to have time together. So I would just like to have a discussion about how everybody feels about moving forward and resuming that practice. So,
Mr. Bourne?
I would like to have some clarity on the meeting dates. We can set meeting dates once per year by law, is that correct?
the regular, this
The regular
regular,
meeting.
Regular
the
meeting.
one that you voted on, once by law, you can set it, and that is the one that you state is like the solid one, like every Thursday at the time. Now, like in February, if something was to happen and you needed to reschedule that meeting, you can do that multiple times a year. But to change your advertised structure of meeting date, time, and place can be voted on again one calendar year. We can call a meeting anytime or anything like that, but yes, sir. And Ms. Doss, you may be able to provide more clarity on that than I was able to.
We have to say in the first of the year, this is when we're gonna have, you're required to have 11 meetings, I think. 11 regular monthly meetings. Now, what if we'd have had the ice storm tonight? Then we wouldn't have had this meeting. The difference is, when you have your regular meeting, you come in and you've got your agenda. But you could get here and you could say, Mr. Chairman, I need to add something to the agenda. And everybody can vote, you could add 7A or 14C. When you have a call meeting, you can only have those things that are on the published agenda for that call meeting. So that's why it's better to have open workshops or regularly scheduled meetings whenever you can, not to say you can't have a call meeting every week if situation demands.
But, and then I think to go back, Mr. Bourne, like if we all, as we are moving forward and growing together as a team and as a board, if we should all, in work sessions or whatever, I could make a recommendation if it deemed appropriate to change the time. For example, if we don't want to start, if we try 5:30 for the first 2 or 3 months and 5:30 is not appropriate, we could change that time to be consistent and advertise it again. We could do that one more time during the calendar
Okay.
year and not have to do a call meeting. We can call a meeting anytime as long as I do give 24-hour advance notice, publish the agenda on the door or place of meeting, and advertise it in our legal organ, which is the News Observer. We can do that at any time. The only time that we don't have to follow that law is we can have an emergency meeting if something was to happen detrimentally either to a facility or safety or something that would demand immediate attention, that we had less than 24 hours in order to address a situation that required you all to approve something.
And I would just like to talk about the work sessions.
Yes.
I think we just kind of like to talk about what the benefit of those are, why we want to bring those back. Like if we're going to bring something back, you want to know the purpose of why we would bring those back. We've talked about this a little bit, but the huge benefit of bringing back a work session for you all that are sitting here, number one, would be meetings that we have in executive session. I'm sure you all love sitting out there and waiting for executive session to return back. In those work sessions, we could knock out that executive session, and then anything else in our agenda that doesn't require action or voting, we could do those things in our item agendas prior to our regular meeting, which in reality makes your meetings a lot more time efficient. And I think everybody can agree that time efficiency would be great. And then it puts the work back on your school board. So in a work session, you would have your superintendent, your school board members, and your directors in here actually getting some work done. And I think a lot of people like to hear the reason behind why decisions are being made. And so I think as you all sitting out there, I think you would love to hear why we're voting yes or no, or why we're making the decisions that we're making.
So, did we vote for the day, or did we vote the time and day?
We voted for time, day, and location.
Yes.
Do y'all like the 5:30?
I've been doing it 5:30 for a while.
Right.
We used to do 6. They got to be too long. We was running past 9 o'clock sometimes. So.
Which
we
is
went to
why I like the
5:30.
idea of bringing back that work session.
So, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
For the board? All right, since we're discussing, so, could we meet at 5:30 and get some of the work session, make that work session on the day of the meeting?
Yes, sir.
And kind of get some things out of
Yes,
the
sir.
way there? And then, I guess the other question is how does that work out for our admin and stuff that are here for the meeting? Do y'all, I mean, I'd like to have some input. Is 5:30, is that a burden? Would it 6:30 or something like that be better? You like it earlier or later, or what? Earlier? So,
What?
you see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So maybe the meeting at 5:30, and then we could do a work session right
Well,
after the meeting. I don't
Mhm.
know.
well, one thing is, we just voted on that, so what we need to do is move forward with, if we want to instigate, work sessions.
Work session.
And then with that, from that, then we can come back and formalize.
Well, I think we
that.
need to understand the whole picture before we vote, you know what I'm saying? So if they
Right.
like an early meeting, we just voted for 5:30, so that's good.
Right.
Keep it on Thursday at 5:30. So now what are we gonna vote on a
So what I
work session?
believe, sir, is that we're wanting to move along a couple months, establish that through conversation with ourselves, and establish a work session time.
Got you.
Then we can come back and say, okay, this is our one time to change it, So we're gonna change it, but we don't wanna rush
What we
into it.
are. Okay.
We're gonna take a little bit of time so we can all get familiar with one another, what the time is. These guys don't wanna go home and then have to come back. You see what I
That's
mean?
why I asked
Is
that,
if
yeah.
it's over, they're here and they can just stay here. I believe that's my understanding. They're out there, they're more than welcome to say, but I believe that's why we went, is so there wouldn't be a gap for them to go home and then come back,
Right.
and we would continue on with our meeting.
And then what we can do as well, since you all were discussing work sessions to bring it back, I can go back to the team and I can have that discussion with everybody on this side. You all can go to your constituents, and then during the month, we won't meet, of course, but in our conversations, like mine with you, you know, our individual conversations, I can gather enough information of a collective whole, and then I would be ready to come back in potentially February and make a recommendation for that. So that's what this is, the discussion for you all to have an opportunity to actually talk openly with one another. And I will gather the questions and stuff that needs to be asked to go back to our team. You all would go back and talk to your constituents, and then as I'm talking to y'all through the month, then I would be able to gather enough information to be able to come back and make a solid recommendation. And then you all would either vote or yes or no whether you agree with that recommendation, and you could have a discussion and stuff.
Is that good?
Yes, sir.
All right. Madam Superintendent, looks like we're on to number 5.
Are y'all,
They give me the nod.
okay, all right.
I'm taking the nod
Okay.
right
On the
there.
work session or no?
So what we'll do is we'll, and we have, prior to the February regular meeting, if we need to have a meeting as the board, our policy says that the board chair, a majority of the board, or the superintendent can request that we have a called meeting. So we can have a called meeting between now and February. But like Ms. Doss was saying, on a called meeting, if we say that we're gonna do, we can't change the agenda or anything, we'd have to do that. So waiting till February is not a stopgap, because we can do a call meeting anytime that we need to.
Yeah.
So it's not like cutting and drying everything until we can. So is there anything else that you all would like me to know concern-wise or wish-wise that I can take back, look at, research, to be able to come back with an appropriate, well-suited recommendation for the board and for the school system for this next time?
Oh, for the work session?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Regarding to the work session.
Yeah, my big thing is the time efficiency. So, you know, like I said, as we discussed this, it's, your work session's not to go over every single agenda item up there. It's to actually respect people's time and, actually openly discuss all the things that concerns everybody in the county. So I just think it would be a smart idea.
Madam Superintendent, item number 5.
Okay, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for indulging me for just a minute to get that additional information. Item number 5, approve agenda and minutes as part of approving the consent agenda. Ms. Collis, thank you for pulling that up for us. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a recommendation to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Board, we have a recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Is there any discussion on the agenda? All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, next item on the agenda is to review the Board Code of Ethics and Conflict of Interest Policies. Dr. Ruth, if you would come forward, please.
Absolutely. Good evening, Board. Good evening, Madam Superintendent. Board members, I know that you did have the opportunity to review the Code of Ethics and the Conflict of Interest ahead of time. This is something that we do annually, every year at this time, to allow board members to, again, review these documents, review the Code of Ethics, review the Conflict of Interest. Also, at your podiums, thank you to Ms. Stephanie. We have you have an affirmation statement at your podiums. So once you feel comfortable that you have read over the conflict of interest and the code of ethics, at that time you can sign that affirmation statement, and we will have those and collect those back from you. But again, you don't necessarily have to sign those tonight. Sign those once you've felt like you've had the opportunity to review these documents. Mrs. Collis, here we have the code of ethics we're looking at, and these are board policies. The code of ethics is broken up into domains. Domain 1 has to do with governance structure. Domain 2 has to do with strategic planning. Domain 3, board and community relations. Domain 4, policy development. Domain 5, board meetings. Domain 6, personnel. Domain 7, financial governance. And then the last bit of information there has to do with the conduct as a board member, and again, that conflict of interest. And then the other policy, which is the conflict of interest, it just again goes through all the different possible ways that a board member could have that conflict of interest, and just kind of goes through different items that, you know, where no board member shall, for instance, that first one, shall use or attempt to use his or her official position to secure unwarranted privileges, advantages, so on and so forth. So it goes through a list of those items that cause that possible conflict of interest. And again, no approval or anything here. Again, just something that we make sure we do annually. And then once you have the opportunity to sign that, do that, and we will collect those affirmation statements.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next item on the agenda is to review spring 2025 board training schedule. And Dr. Ruth, before you start, I'd like to just say that these dates are fluid dates. In case something happens, we can change it. It's not an action item for board approval. I do know that there's a conflict with one board member on one date, so we will see what we can do to make sure that we facilitate for everyone. But this is just a general overview of where we're going training-wise this spring.
Absolutely. So we have the Thursday there, January 30th, and that will the training will be roles and responsibilities of a Board of Education, and that will be provided by Tim Cochran and Corey Kirby. And then Tuesday, February 25th, we have Communicating School System Message, and on that date, you'll have the opportunity to also visit the elementary schools, and then you'll have the opportunity to meet back with directors and look at our different duties and responsibilities. On March 13th, we will have, it'll be actually, before the board meeting on that date, and we'll have facilities planning for boards of education, and that will be with Tim Cochran, Doug Suits, and Darren Danner. And then finally, we have April 10th, and that will be Cognia board training from 2 to 4, because we are currently already in the throes of beginning our Cognia reaccreditation right now. So they'll go through some training for y'all as well.
And Dr. Ruth, talk about Cognia just for a second. It used to be called Advanced Ed.
Yeah, so it was SACS. A lot of people in the room know it as the SACS accreditation, and then as Ms. Dillard said, then it was Advanced Ed. Now it's Cognia, and so essentially it is extremely important for us because that is the institution, that is the organization that allows us to remain a fully accredited public school system. So extremely important process to go through that Cognia accreditation, and we're excited to do it though, rolling up our sleeves and excited to do it.
And another benefit to us going through the process right now, which I don't know if the team thinks it's a benefit because it's a lot of work, but as we're coming together as a team. It will be an opportunity to where there'll be no stone left unturned. So that will be,
Madam Superintendent, I believe that March 13th is more in stone than any of the rest. Am I not correct with that, with Doug being a valuable person that's coming?
that one would be extremely hard to switch. I will try for any that we can, but
Okay.
he is a state level
Right.
person that is over facilities and construction. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to let them know that's very hard to get him back on the schedule if we was, I know a lot of other districts might be wanting to get him since they know he's coming here, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next item on the agenda is school governance team update. Dr. Roof?
Absolutely. We did have some meetings in between the two board meetings. Blue Ridge did meet. We did have 2 facility use requests, and the SGT also shared, went over school improvement plan, midterm progress, and also looked at the district improvement plan and the midterm progress for that. Looked at federal budgets, where those are right now, and shared safety improvements since the previous meeting, and then also shared CCRPI at the school level. No meeting at East Fannin in between the two. No meeting at West Fannin in between the two. Middle school did meet, had several fundraiser requests, the 2 field trip requests there, and then had the opportunity to discuss SPLOST funds. High school had a called meeting and to approve 2 field trips listed there. And as usual, just a reminder that the minutes of all of these meetings are housed at the individual schools.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Any questions? With that said, I'd like to invite Mr. Price forward. This is one of my favorite things, is school happenings.
Thank you, Ms. Diller, and I welcome new board members and all board members. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me today. And so, and I got quite a few East Fannin parents out here. I don't know if they knew I was presenting or what, but anyway, so I'll get started. This is our staff. This is everybody it takes to kind of make our little world go round out there at East Fannin, and so it takes every one of us. And so I just want to kind of show our new picture where we're a growing school and our faculty's growing, and so I want to get a picture of everybody, you know, so y'all can kind of see the full picture of East Fannin. With that, we have quite a few new staff this year. We have Miss Lisa Kelleher, which is a parapro, which she's certified, so now she's filling a long-term sub role and doing an excellent job. Ms. Bailey Breeden is teaching special education. Catherine O'Brien is a 3rd grade teacher, teaching science and social studies. And also Ms. Reagan Day is she's teaching 3rd grade math. We have Ms. Bree Twiggs. Mr. Ramsey, or Dr. Ramsey, you may remember her from, I think, last year. And so she's coming in and helping out with our adaptive special education class. And I believe she's got education on her mind, and so we're going to try to push her, make sure she goes through the what she needs to do to be a teacher. And so it's kind of refreshing to have those young people come in and doing an excellent job, and have that you know, wanting to pursue that career. Cameron Ledford is one of our kindergarten teachers. Kayla Hemphill is a new 1st grade teacher, and so both of those are doing a great job. And Miss Tracy Kroponicki, and so she is a parapro that we hired. STEM, when I talk about STEM, a lot of times I get into the robotics part of it, and you know, we highlight those. We have competitions, the coding, all those other cool things we do. But at the end of the summer, I took these pictures to remind myself that there's a lot of hard work that goes into gardening. And so, and our STEM teacher does a great job involving our kids and the chickens and all that kind of stuff, because I feel like this is kind of a lost art. I know my generation, me in particular, my dad grew up on a farm, and I think when he left, he said he'll never work on a farm again. And so I think that's why it wasn't passed down to me and probably a lot of people in my generation, because like my dad's generation had to work on the farm. And so, but it's kind of a lost art. We do have a lot of kids who have, you know, grow up on farms, and they get out there and they get with it, and you can kind of tell who they are. But it exposes, just like in a lot of our STEM initiatives, it exposes kids to things and kind of plant that seed for the future of, you know, possibly choosing those careers, and just exposing them to those different things. But moving on to our trunk or treat is basically turned into a competition. And so we had about 40 sets of parents who came in and did decorated their trunks. And if you notice that top left corner, that is a live goat. And so they ended up winning. We have a competition, and we let people vote on it. And so they actually won it. And I think he got called a cheater a couple of times because he brought a live animal with him. But he did it. It was, you know, of course, for our kids. And that thing is trained too. It didn't move. It sat there, and kids would pet it. And so he had a cheat code for it. So he kind of won that competition. We also have a pumpkin decorating competition with our kids. We posted it on our website, and the number of likes that it gets from parents or anybody who goes on our webpage determines the winner. And this kid connected his to a book character. So it was, competition brings out the best in people. So our parents have a good time with it, and they mouth back and forth, kind of setting up like, I thought you wasn't doing it big this year. And they have a good time with it. And the best thing is it is something really special for our kids. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see our kids enjoyed it. Our kids dress up and they just have a good time. There's our STEM teacher, Miss Todd, there in the middle. It's just a fun day for our kids to kind of take a break and breathe a little bit and do something fun. Our spelling bee, yesterday we actually had our district spelling bee. And so we actually had the winner. And so to the right are our grade level winners. And so Cadence came in yesterday, and she is a fourth grader, so she'll be back next year and hopefully can defend her title. But I would like to say that it was a great display of sportsmanship yesterday, that they were high-fiving each other and encouraging each other, and it was really awesome to see kids in competition, and then also having that sportsmanship to cheer on the other person even when they're out of the competition.
I agree, Mr. Price. We can learn a lot from our kids. They were amazing.
We can.
They were amazing.
And the kid from West Fannin, they actually went to school together at some point, so they remembered each other, and they were up there high-fiving. It was kind of cool to see those kids cheering each other on. Our Veterans Day is another big program that we always have. That's Mr. Jerry Barnes. He did an excellent job. He connected some things even to our kindergarten kids, through our fifth grade kids. He threw a little preaching in there too, and that was good. But he did an awesome job, and so much so that the guy with the veterans that puts on that comes and helps us with the Veterans Day programs, he came in my office about 2 weeks ago and asked for Mr. Barnes' number. And Mr. Barnes did it very willfully. He said, the only thing that I request is that my granddaughter get to stand with me. And of course, we made that happen. That's Elena there standing with her grandpa during the Veterans Day program. He was our guest speaker. And all of our kids participate, pre-K through fifth grade. They all at least have 2 songs, and our kids work hard. Ms. Holtman works hard with them, and they do an excellent job. Thanksgiving, of course, we always have a huge turnout, and I actually got my nutrition lady in here with me today. And that's a picture of them in the middle with volunteers. There's also parent volunteers. That was one of the pictures we got with our student volunteers that come over from the high school. That's kind of their day to shine. Our lunchroom ladies do, and I'm sorry, I always forget. He always gets on to me about, we have a man too, he's up there. He gets on to me for calling him a lunchroom lady, but he's awesome too. But it takes a teamwork every day. Our custodians that day, everybody's busy that day, but I don't think Missy and them ever really tell me no, which is good. And so when they came to me on School Nutrition Week and asked me to dress like a pirate, I didn't tell them no this time, so I was trying to be a good sport too. But anyway, it's a good day for our families to come in. They all eat together, they fellowship, they hang around, not just for that 30 minutes a lot of times, but throughout the 2 and 3 hours that we're serving students and parents and grandparents and whoever else comes. So it's always a good day, one of my favorite days. Which goes into the holiday festivities. We've been doing the 12 days of Christmas for a long time. I know parents might get upset with us because it's something every day. And so, but our kids love it. Our staff gets into it. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas is a long 3 weeks a lot of times, and this makes things fun for the kids, fun for the teachers and everybody. It's just a fun thing to do for our kids. The last thing we do, at the end of our before we go to break is our White Christmas, and so it's always a big event. We always have we pack out the PAC, and so again, all of our kids, pre-K through 5th grade, get an opportunity to come up on the stage and perform. And so thank you, board. I know that doesn't happen in a lot of places, but we get a chance to celebrate and come together right before we go to break and do a White Christmas. Professional learning. So we've been doing a lot of professional learning lately, and I'll kind of connect one of the things you see letters up there. One of those, a lot of that PL is actually, part of it's happening tomorrow, but it's going back and teaching the basic phonics, and also the rules of learning to read. We got one of the facilitator to come in for letters and go in and actually observe our teachers and give them feedback, and she gave us a lot of great feedback. We were sitting in Miss Laura Robinson's room, and she was teaching, so there were 3 letters. It's called a trigraph. I didn't know that till a 7-year-old told me. But they were going through the trigraphs, the 3 letters that produce one sound. And so the kid raises his hand and he says, "Miss Robinson, that's a trigraph." And I looked and I was like, I learned what a trigraph is. So now every time I read a word with a trigraph in it, I think of that 7-year-old that said, it's a trigraph. So it's funny going back to learning from kids. I remember a lot of people, I did not learn through phonics. And so we learned a lot through memorization and repetition and stuff, but they're actually learning the rules and the why of reading and the rules of the English language and stuff, and it's going to tie in great with their vocabulary and stuff later on. So, and speaking of spelling bees, I'm sure we'll be going about 30 rounds in spelling bees at some point in a few years, so which is great. We do our math, MTSS. We had a trainer come in, and then now the big thing, as Miss Heather over there smiling, is going to be our new ELA standards next year that we're going to start previewing and prepping for next year for those standards. So our teachers are prepared to teach those new standards to our students. EFES Bragg Board, this is something we did, and I didn't really know how much participation we'd get, but there's great stuff going around the school all the time. And so we figured, how can we highlight that? And we want to make it real. And so on Fridays, we send out a Google Doc, and it's just very simple. You put the name of the person you're bragging on and kind of what they did. And so I checked it today, we're up to 225 brags. And so at the end of the week, we take those and we do in Google, you can do like a random pick from those names, and we get 2 names and we give them a $5 gift card from Dunkin', and so they can buy themselves a coffee. I don't think they do it for the coffee. I hope they don't, but they'd love to get on here and brag. And when I share the brag board, if you know anything about Google, you can kind of see their avatar pop up at the top. Like it lights up when I share it, because they want to go in there and see, the good things going on at East Fannin, and it highlights people and y'all see lunchroom staff. It gets everybody in there. And so it just gives us an opportunity to highlight some of the good things going around our school. Wildcat News, I know in the past we had a studio, but with the growth of our school, we've had to kind of rethink some things. But when we started rethinking, it ended up being really a better product than what we were doing before. And so a lot of our equipment was becoming out of date. As y'all know, technology changes. And so we were not allowed to, the equipment was not allowing us to get the updates we need. And so we did a lot of research on a new program And so it's a lot less money, and it produces basically the same or a better product. And so also we got to thinking that people make millions of dollars with a cell phone. I mean, we're doing TikTok videos and whatever else they do, social media. So we thought, well, it's time to rethink, and we did. And it's a smaller space we use, but we really produced the same, if not a better product. So, and that was a lesson to be learned for our students as well. I was hoping to be able to invite everybody to this tomorrow, but of course, the weather says otherwise. We're going to have a festival of arts for our students, and so Miss Christy Holtman is our creative arts teacher, and she put a lot of hard work into artists, inviting some artists, the Children's Theater, the Fannin County High School Drum Corps, community musicians. So it's going to expose you. Go back to like what we was talking about with STEM. This will be the A of it in STEAM, is the arts. And so we're going to expose our kids to a lot of stuff that they may not get to see. I mean, I don't know how many kids that maybe has not met a real life artist or musician or author. And so we were going to get and expose our kids and have some crafts for them to do related to a lot of the visitors that they had that day. So unfortunately, we decided way back probably Monday or Tuesday to go ahead and reschedule this, because it's a lot of work that went behind it to get them in here. And so we didn't want to cancel on the last minute, so we went ahead and we're going to postpone to a different date. But really excited. I'll keep you guys updated and make sure it gets out to everybody once this comes to fruition. Back in November, we were recognized as a Georgia Department of Education Georgia Literacy Leader School for 3rd grade growth, and then also 5th grade growth. And so we are absolutely not where we want to be in literacy, but as going back to that other slide that showed the professional learning, we preach growth all the time, and to be recognized for growth, we were very proud of that. And so with our 3rd and 5th grade students. And last, thank you, SPLOST. Over the summer and in the fall, we completed, with our growth, I can't say all, but about 99% of our regular homeroom classrooms now have new furniture, and in the future we will start with our specials classes and some other classrooms to equip them with some new furniture. We did some paint, pressure washing, fence, and then that's our cafeteria with the LVP floor, and it's the same flooring that's been in the high school, middle school, and the other schools as well. And we also completed our adult bathrooms with that flooring, just to add some freshness to our school and redo some things. That's it.
All right.
Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Price.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Price. That was awesome. Sorry for coughing your whole time.
That's okay. That's fine.
We appreciate all you and your staff do, and those opportunities you provide for those students is very important.
Again, we'll be able to show y'all in February. Y'all be able to see some of those things when y'all come out for a board visit. So thank you, guys.
I appreciate you too, Matt. Before you take off, I'll just go ahead and say I consider Matt a good friend, and he's always been willing to jump in and do anything we've ever asked him to do, and I appreciate that. And I dressed up for Jesus for that trunk or treat over at Blue Ridge Elementary, and I think that goat probably did a better job than I did. So.
That goat didn't talk as much, probably did it.
It was pretty good, man. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, thank you. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Mr. Danner, do we have public comment, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we have 3. Our first public comment is Miss Kennedy Ferguson. She would like to speak on special needs playground.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dale.
Hi, my name is Kennedy Ferguson. I go to East Fannin Elementary School. I'm here today to talk on the behalf of my friend and his classmates. They are special needs and are in need of a playground. As you can see from the photo, there is a fenced-in area with no playground equipment. It looks like a dog park. They do have a wagon with toys that they have to bring out daily. This could be unsafe. For example, while pulling it up the hill, the wagon could slip out of the teacher's hands and run over a student. My question is, how do we get playground equipment that the special needs deserve? And can we get it before the school year is out so they can enjoy it? Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Ms. Kennedy, I normally don't applaud right now, but I would love to give you a hand for being so brave.
Thank you.
Thank you for advocating for your friends. And it's my job and my responsibility to come back to you with the answers from the board and from me. I need to make sure that I heard your questions correctly. So you wanted to know what the possibility was to get a special needs playground for East Fannin Elementary. Was that the first question? Okay. And then the second question is you would like to know the timeline, if that was a possibility, what that timeline would be. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did I miss anything? Because that's my job. You're helping me do my job. And if I don't answer all of your questions, then I've failed. So don't let me fail you.
No, you got it right.
Is that the two questions? All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kennedy, thank you for being so brave. That's a big deal, representing, and not just representing yourself, but stepping out and representing people that may need some representation, so thank you.
Thank you.
Takes a lot of courage. Thank you.
Thank
And if you don't hear back from me, you tattletale on me to your parents, because I know they'll get me.
Good job, Kennedy.
Thank you.
Ms. Dillard, the next public comment is Ms. Jessica Ferguson. She wants to speak on SPLOST dollars.
You got it.
Ms. Ferguson, thank you for being here. Did Mr. Danner tell you everything you needed to know?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Okay. All right, that's gonna be hard to follow. I'm not good at talking in front of people, but I figured if she could do it, my 9-year-old, that I can get up behind her. I went back the last, 2 years since January 12th, 2023, on the minutes of the board meetings, and I keep popping up like the SPLOST dollars to like funding the high school a lot. Like the, let's see here, sorry, I didn't mean, the Georgia the greenhouse project, it's shown $300,000, and then you go down to the sports complex that you guys approved. The guaranteed max price is $31.9 million, and I have my kid come in daily and ask me, "Hey, Mom, can I use my allowance to buy the special needs this for their playground?" And I'm like, "Kennedy, we have the money, we have the funds, but they're used mainly at the high school, guys." And like these driver ed vehicle, yes, that was a good purchase, because for around here, the kids that do drive bigger vehicles, and that'd be something good for them to learn on. But at the end of the day, if we can approve $29,000 to go to clear backpacks without being voted on or brought in front of the parents, I think we can probably look at $40,000, maybe $50,000 for these special needs of playground. So I'm here today on behalf of them too, and for my kid, because she's so brave. But thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ferguson.
Ms. Dillard, our last public comment is Mr. Chris Smiley. He wants to speak on clear backpacks.
Hello, Mr. Mr. Smiley.
Hello.
Did Mr. Danner tell you everything you needed to know? And
Yes,
then
ma'am.
some?
Yes, ma'am, he did. Happy New Year. Thank you all for having me. I want to start by reiterating that the clear backpack mandate is a constitutional infringement on our children's rights. It seems an obvious violation of the Fourth Amendment, illegal search and seizure, as well as an invasion of our children's right to privacy. An additional concern I'd like to point out that's associated with this protocol is the psychological aspect. How is the clear backpack mandate affecting our children's mental health while they're on the school grounds? Is this creating a negative mindset for our children? What kind of example are we setting for our students by scrutinizing their personal space? And what message are we sending our students by implicating them? I fear this issue could be creating an atmosphere for poor mental health to thrive. And poor mental health is the true cause of gun violence in schools. Sorry. The clear backpack rule is not an added layer of security, but a destructive measure costing students more than just taxpayer dollars. Implementing a rule that is legally questionable and mostly ineffective is not the best we can do. I believe our school's teachers and administrators genuinely care and love our students. This care and concern for our children is what will stop gun violence in our schools, not dubious rules that breed controversy and contempt. Furthermore, I believe Fannin County Schools have implemented some excellent measures to keep our children safe while at school. Unfortunately, the Clear Backpack Directive is not one of them. Our students have a right to go to school and not feel like they are being implicated or that they are the enemy. I think we should recognize and be proud of the good work that our school system does engaging our students and caring for our children. We should also recognize that our students deserve their right to privacy and our respect. A clear backpack should not be forced on them. Children attending Fannin County schools should not be implicated for simply being on school grounds. In closing, I would like to implore the administrators that are responsible for the implementation of the clear backpack rule to end it. I realize that we have a new board, and I recognize this is the first public meeting with the new board members. So as you settle in, I ask you to please engage with this issue and move to end the clear backpack mandate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smiley.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Jessica, as well.
Next item on the agenda is district vision, mission, and beliefs. Dr. Ruth.
Hello again. So typically, at this time of the year, we would be looking to approve, and we do this annually, looking to approve our school system's vision and mission. However, we have a different process that we're going to be going through this year, and I'm going to let Ms. Diller talk a little bit more about what we have here.
Okay, we had our mission and vision statement. We were going through the motions, and I use that word for a purpose because it was going through the motions. We had gotten the habit of going through the motion, reviewing it because we were compliant, and then moving on. We are not who we were when we got to researching this mission and vision, and I believe that Connie may kill me for saying this. I believe you're the ones that has the most historical knowledge here, and she couldn't remember a time when we really didn't have this mission and vision. And why I commend tradition, I believe in it. It's our legacy. I believe in my forefathers, but I also believe that in order to affect change, you can't keep doing what you've always done with everything. So we wanted to really do a revamp of our mission and vision to see who we are today. the generation today that's out there, I'm getting too old to be a part of it almost, because it's a whole new generation. It's a whole new idea. It's a whole new, public education means something different. Teaching means something different. So then we started to look at it with a select number of people about who we are. And then it hit me again. Here we are, once again, having a small handful of people speaking for the majority. And yes, and Mr. Smiley and I've had this conversation, sometimes we do have to make decisions and stuff to speak for the majority, but there are also, when it comes to defining who you are, that's not an appropriate time and place to do that. So with Dr. Roof's help on leading this initiative, we're going to send out to the faculty, and this is called a word cloud. And what happens is every time that somebody says a word, if a word's said multiple times, then that word gets bigger. And the one word that we're going to send out to our faculty and staff is, in one word, what is your vision for the Fannin County school system? And we're going to send it out to all the faculty and staff. Of course, it will have a timeline, and when we get that feedback, we're going to take those words back and analyze, and then the principals are going to work with their schools so that we can define who we are as a Fannin County school system. This will not happen overnight. If it's real, it can't happen overnight. I can go to AI right now. I can throw a bunch of words in it, and I can say, write me a mission statement, and let me tell you, it can write you a good one. But it won't mean anything. It'll be pretty, and we can publish it everywhere, but it won't be real. And our teachers and our faculty and staff don't have an opportunity to have a voice all the time anyway. And there are a lot of decisions that have to be made and not always able to explain, but we're not going to define who we are. We're going to define who we are as a group. So with that said, prayers from everyone that this is successful and that we get it done right. Dr. Ruth?
Thank you. And this process of gathering feedback from all of our employees with this sentence to go into this word cloud, this process matches our superintendent's vision for this school system, which is for us to be working on things collectively and working on things as a true team from every angle of the school system. So I commend you for that.
Thank you, sir. I've got a team that can do it. Every person that works in Fannin County is amazing. Amazing.
I applaud your efforts on that. That's, excuse me. I like the collaboration amongst the whole team, the whole community. That I think that builds a great team spirit, great community spirit. I look forward to see the result of that. So I applaud your efforts on that.
Dr. Roof, do you need to say anything else about that?
I'm good, just excited about it.
All right. Next item on the agenda is to approve the Fannin County School System 2024 to 2029 strategic plan. Dr. Roof?
All right, so here, this is going to be kind of a twofold agenda item. First off, what we have here is a flow chart. So, you know, we have a school system that's close to ours that had a a nice binder with with great information in it that had to do with the strategic plan. And so we looked at that and kind of thought, hey, that's actually a really good idea to have it all organized like that. But we wanted to kind of have our take on it, on how that works. And so that's how this flow chart came to be. And so what this is here, we wanted the board, we wanted y'all to see this first. After tonight, we will post this on our website at some point very soon. And what this does is this shows you the flow. So at the top, you do have your vision, the school system's vision. Then after that, the vision impacts the mission, that mission statement, and then both of those impact the strategic plan. And in a little bit, Mrs. Collis is going to open that strategic plan up, and that's what we will approve tonight. that strategic plan then has a major impact. It is what impacts everything below it. So over there on the far left, you will have the district's the district improvement plan. It's also referred to as the CLIP. And so each one of these are going to be live links. We're not going to sit here and click on all of them. We'd be here all night. But Mrs. Collis, just click on CLIP. So,
I'm sorry, basically in layman's terms, the strategic plan is what do we want to do in the Fannin County school system for our people and how are we going to get there? And then from that, all that stuff under it is all the required documents that either the state or another entity requires us to have to either get funding or to be compliant. So we have worked to make sure that all of those plans, that we're not doing anything in isolation, that anything and everything that we do is leading to what we think is best for the students and the system to get to where we want to go, improving academics and those kind of things. So with that, Dr. Reed.
absolutely. And so again, it is what impacts all of these items that Ms. Dillard just mentioned. And so all of these are live links. The second item there to the left, that has to do with our Cognia accreditation. So as we continue to go through that Cognia accreditation, these will be updated, but those are the links that go with that. And then you have our charter, we're a charter system. So again, that strategic plan directly impacts what we do with our charter contract and all that's going to go into that charter renewal when we get to that process. It impacts what's called our balanced scorecard, and that's basically showing how we do as a school system on our assessments and a variety of items. It impacts the superintendent evaluation. It impacts our exemplary board process once we get to that point again. And it impacts our CTAE Perkins plan. So again, it just shows, this flow chart is just a great item to show, again, how this plan has such an impact for our school system. So with that said, we have this plan, and this was approved earlier in this year. However, before I get to that point, I know you see where it says 2024 to 2029. The reason for that is because Cognia and Charter like for you to have a 5-year strategic plan. However, it is a fluid document. So at any point, if we feel like we need to make an improvement, because that's what we're here to do, is try to improve as we go, we can alter it and make those improvements. So it's not a situation where you look at it and say, oh, right, we can't reapprove anything until 2029. It doesn't work that way. We can look at this annually. We can look at it monthly if we need to make sure that it is capturing what we need for our students and for our school system.
So if we're on the wrong road or driving the wrong car, we can stop and do over.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this again, I know y'all had the opportunity to look at this earlier already. But the one item that is updated compared to what we looked at earlier in the school year is right here on Strategic Goal 1, Action Step 4. So we started looking at all of our agenda items for our board meetings, and that is another opportunity, another place where our strategic plan, all of our items are supposed to somehow tie to our strategic plan. And we started noticing, of course, as you know, when Mr. Danner gets to talk about all that he talks about at the board meetings, we started noticing that a lot of those items had to do with facilities. And we couldn't really find an action step in the strategic plan that truly met those agenda items that had to do with facilities. So with that said, we added an action step 4 to the plan there that says provide functional facilities that allow for the accomplishment of school and district goals.
Because every agenda item that is on the board meeting, everything that you all discuss, everything that you all approve is directly related to supporting the strategic plan.
So that was the one change, but again, also we felt like it was a good time to look at reapproving this strategic plan as well.
Thank you.
With that, Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation to approve as presented.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. I will make that motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, Darren Danner is going to talk about the Fannin County High School new gym HVAC GMP, better known as a guaranteed maximum price. Mr. Danner?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, board. Good evening, Ms. Dillard. Here's the memo. We sent it out to bid through our CM at risk, Bowen and Watson. They were approved in September 12th of 24 to be our CM at risk for the HVAC project. So again, asking for approval for the GMP for the new gym HVAC for $908,157. That will be paid for out of SPLOST and also COPS funds that again, Mr. Suits will speak about in March. So on the COPS, what we are actually, Ms. Collis, if you'll open up, yep, that one right there. COPS applications are due in April of the previous year. So this COPS application was submitted in actually of April of 23. April of 23, it gets approved by the DOE. That becomes fiscal FY 25. So Ms. Collis, on page 3 of this is a summary of the next 3 agenda items. Excuse me. So the Fannin County High School there on the bottom, the project amount, again, that is not the GMP. That is a calculation that the DOE uses for the entire facility. That one new gym itself, it's some voodoo math, some hieroglyphics that I can't explain it. When Mr. Soups gets here in March, when you leave, you'll say, hey, I think I get it, until you walk out the door and you'll say, now what did he say again? And I've been doing this for 7 years. And so again, but again, what we do earn from our COPS money for the high school gym only for HVAC is $447,085. So that's what that bottom line is there. And while there's 3 on this, is we filed an application back in 23 for these facilities for HVAC renovations. And again, and that's what that is. So that's, this attachment is on all 3 agenda items, but I wanted Ms. Collis to pull that up. So again, I'll summarize that to you again. Ms. Collis, she'll go back to the memo. So the GMP for the HVAC at the high school, that is 7 rooftop units. That's 2 wall mount units or barred units, 17 exhaust fans, 4 gas unit heaters, 3 ductless split units, and 3 gas duct furnaces. The GMP again is the 908-157. COPS money is 447,085, what I just showed you. So actually, SPLOST money will be $433,330. Okay.
And Mr. Danner, COPS money is funds that we qualify for. It's not borrowed funds or taxpayer-based or whatever. It's from the state of Georgia for facilities.
That is correct. We do a 5-year local facilities plan every 5 years. And that local facilities plan is to participate in COPS money, the capital outlay money. And we actually submitted that plan to the DOE. The DOE approved that plan December the 18th. And then actually yesterday, I got to present that facilities plan to a facility team assigned by the DOE. Union County was involved in it, Lumpkin County, Fulton County, Gilmer County, and Gordon County. So I had to make a presentation to them actually yesterday. Ms. Dillard got involved in that to hear the responses from it. And again, y'all will get definitely see what's in the 5-year plan. And again, the 5-year plan is really not, when we tried to explain the 5-year plan several years ago, I actually had some teachers says, well, where's this building, where's that building? I said, that's not what the The COPS 5-year plan is, it is just to earn eligibility such as HVAC, which is called a modifications. Modifications you can apply for every 10 years. Renovations such as paint, remodeling, that sort of thing, you can apply for that every 20 years. Once you make an application for like this new gym, the new gym in COPS is building 5060, if I remember correctly. So we can't make any modifications to HVAC to the new gym for the next 10 years. I'm sorry, we will not be eligible for any COPS money for HVAC for the next 10 years. So again, that's how the COPS money works.
And back to your 5-year facility plan, it's not a vision board, it's a.
That is correct. That is correct.
And I also, Mr. Danner, I believe that you have the itemized GMP attached as well.
Itemized GMP. The bid sheet, Ms.
Yes.
Collis over on the right, this is the bid sheet that went out to, that Boyne and Watson sent out. So, you know, that's the benefit of having a CM at risk. They do all the bidding, they send that out. So again, that is the bid sheet there that come out, and then that itemizes everything down to the GMP. And the Thomas Mechanical is actually local, so I will say that. We'll say that.
Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation to approve the new gym HVAC GMP as presented, sir.
Board, we have a recommendation. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? I'll make a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I know you knew I was gonna ask some questions about
Yes,
this.
sir.
So what brought this on? Are we having problems or?
Major problems.
Okay.
Major problems.
I just want everybody to understand kind of how we got to where we're at, I guess, is what
I
I'm
got
saying.
you.
So,
The work orders, when I get to it later, I don't specify exactly what the work orders are. These last 2 weeks, because of the weather, poor old maintenance guys, 90% of them has been HVAC. And I'm not going to say all of them's been at the high school. We definitely have them at all schools. But though the East Fannin, West Fannin, and the new gym has been that way for quite some time. They've been piecemealing it together, as well as the other schools as well. So again, y'all, it's time. You know, the gym was built in 04, I think. And typically the lifespan on the rooftop or a big unit is 10 years anyway. On the HVAC, we'll have a 5-year warranty on the compressors, a 10-year warranty on the heat exchangers, and of course the CM at risk is responsible for the first year labor and parts on that as well.
so we're having a lot of our work orders are coming from the HVAC.
Some of them, well,
Yeah.
it's definitely this time of year. Extreme cold, of course, in August when it's 900 degrees. It's not for the heat, it's for the air conditioning.
Right.
And so yeah, we are having some HVAC issues.
So at this point, I guess what we're saying, it's better to go ahead while we're getting some assistance to replace it than it is to keep working on it.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Actually, they already had, lifespan's already been dictated in that. So
Right.
that's why it started in 23, was because the lifespan's ending of that
Right.
unit. And so you get that in motion prior to saying, oh, it broke, now we need the money. So it's preemptive coming up and taking care of that in advance, expecting that. Have to do that at my shop. Figure out,
Right.
gotta have a fund, so when something air compressor breaks, I got money in there. So that's basically what they were doing.
Absolutely. And COPS again is earned entitled money. But again, it's a planning stage. You know, I can't, even though we got some additional funds that we are eligible for in COPS, I just can't call the DOE and say, hey, I need $500,000 to do this. I mean, it's a process. I mean, you got a deadline to meet. It has to be approved by legislation, number one. That's where COPS money comes from. Once it gets approved, then they'll send us, you can't start prior to this date, and then actually you have 5 years to complete the project.
You know, I assume this is what it was. It's a big ticket item.
Big
and,
ticket item.
You know, a lot of money. We're getting help on it. Thankful for that. Just want everybody to know, you know, that we're trying to use their dollars wisely, and
Correct.
I think this is a good thing. So I just wanted, I assumed that's what it was, and that's what it is, and
Correct.
so I'm excited about that.
We were very fortunate 2 years ago, correct me if I'm wrong, high school, middle school, we used COPS money to help re-HVAC the high school and the middle school. And I'm not gonna say that doesn't fix, you know, you can go buy a brand new car and have an issue. So yeah, we've got some issues at the middle school, a brand new unit that's less than 2 years old that we're having problems with. And again, we're talking to not the contractor, but now we're talking to the manufacturer. You know, hey, we got some issues.
So it's not going to be refurbishing. We're going to be
We're going
replacing
new.
it new.
Yes, sir. We're going new.
And I'm sure it's more energy efficient, correct?
Correct. I'm so glad you brought that up. You know, energy efficient, yes, but then we have that additional program, our control system. Every HVAC, not every HVAC, 99% of our HVAC, heat and cool is controlled by computer. In October of 23, I had Mr. Spurling, I said, Mike, how much have we saved by using this control system? In October 23, it's over $7 million we've saved just on electricity alone by using this energy program and everything. Very complicated as well. I can set schedules and I can do that type of stuff, but then they can get in there and they can reset an HVAC unit by computer, and a lot of times that'll save them actually going out there. So again, you know, that program's not free as well, but again, it has saved a tremendous amount of money.
Question on funding, just so I'm clear on this, I think it's important to note, COPS money is a grant, not required to be paid back.
It's a reimbursement. Reimbursement, yes, sir. We're
In
eligible
essence.
for 447. We pay for it with SPLOST. Then we file for it. Ms. Wing can tell you how all that works.
Yes.
We get that money back, then it goes back into the SPLOST account.
In essence, at the end of the day, we get reimbursed for
Yes, sir.
their portion.
That is
The additional
correct.
portion is paid out of SPLOST.
That is
We're
correct.
having to pull zero from the general fund.
That is correct.
I think that's important to note.
Very true.
So,
Very true.
thankful for SPLOST and COPS.
And COPS.
Any other discussion? All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous.
We're not gonna have discussions on the next two, are we? But
Yeah,
anyway.
we
Oh,
are.
please make my day and ask him more questions. Yeah. Mr. Chair, next item on the agenda is Mr. Danner talking about HVAC at East Fannin Elementary.
Ms. Collis, if you'll open up the memo. Again, going through the same process. This process was all done at one time through our CM. To replace everything at East Fannin, the GMP, the guaranteed max price, come to $1,483,079. Again, this will be paid for out of SPLOST and also COPS funds. Ms. Collis, if you'll pull up the, go ahead and pull up the DOE again one more time. And go to page 3. So again, what we're eligible for East Fannin is $344,553. So again, with the GMP and reducing the COPS funds, that'll be $1,138,526 coming out of SPLOST funds. East Fannin has 10 rooftop units, 2 pad mount units, 42 barred or walled units, 24 exhaust fans, 1 through wall heat pump, 2 gas unit heaters, and 1 makeup air unit. Again, same 5-year, 10-year warranty, and then 1-year parts and labor by our CM.
And I do believe that the itemized sheet is on that as well.
Yes, ma'am. That's the bid sheet just for East Fannin. And again, that's the breakdown of everything that come up with that GMP there. Thank you, Ms. Collis.
Thank you. With that said, Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation to approve as presented.
Board, we have a recommendation. Is there a motion?
So move.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any discussion? No discussion. I'll take a vote. All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous.
Now we're gonna move over to the west side. Mr. Danner?
Again, west side, same exact process. GMP for West Fannin, $1,556,429. What is included in West Fannin is 11 rooftop units, 2 pad mount units, 44 barred or wall mount units, 40 exhaust fans, 1 through wall heat pump, 2 gas unit heaters, 1 ductless split unit, and 1 makeup air. What we are eligible for with COPS for West Fannin is $446,287. You reduce that from a GMP, so what will come out of SPLOST is $1,110,142. Again, 5-year, 10-year, 1-year parts and labor. The total GMP on all 3, well, never mind. Go ahead, Ms.
I have one question before I make the
ma'am.
recommendation. If this one's approved and we do all 3 of these locations, I know that this has been a project that we've been working on in the recent years. What would be our status as far as HVAC in the system? Like, are we closer to being all up to date and renovated, or are we midway through? Just to, not to put you on the spot, just kind of a guesstimate, not an absolute.
You are putting me on the spot. Again, middle school, high school was done 2 years ago. This will get east and west. This will get the new gym. The PAC has not been done. Actually, it was done prior to me taking this position. It died pretty quickly. But again, the PAC has a new HVAC system. When you say the school, you know, east and west are pretty much one building, but then you got high school that's got different buildings. West Fannin alone, since it's had additions and some modifications to it, even though it's one connected building, like the main building, by the DOE say it is a 50-10 for the main building. So when you add you add 2 classrooms or you add another wing to that, that becomes a second building, even though it's one building. So a 50-10, a 50-20, a 50-30, and so forth. Like the 4th and 5th grade that's at Blue Ridge and at West, it's got a whole different building as well. So these HVAC that we're replacing is pretty much everything everything that we've got in our COPS plan for East and West, except the 4th and 5th grade building, because there's no need for that at this point. So to answer your question, pretty much we're up to date except Blue Ridge Elementary.
Okay, thank you, sir. With that, Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation to approve as presented.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Board, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I'd like to ask a question real quick.
Yes.
To the chair's earlier point, we understand these systems have lifespans.
Correct.
How long has the COPS money been available?
That's a great question, and I do not. Ms. Collis, open up the DOE.
And-
Yes,
and,
ma'am.
And a follow-up question, do we know if it's going to continue to be available?
That's going to be a legislative question.
Okay.
I can't remember how many millions legislation puts in COPS program. I know our total eligible funding that Fannin County can receive is almost like $10 million. And of course, that's a lot of things that are specified. Modifications, again, are big ticket items, dishwashers, kitchen equipment, HVAC, that sort of thing. So once we use this, even though HVAC at East and West is going to be listed in there, it's going to have a $0 amount because it's not got that life plan. But we're definitely going to leave that into plan. Then when it's time to earn money again, then it's going to start earning money for that. Like if we're not replacing any of the kitchen equipment right now, that money is still there, which shows up in our entitlement for the DOE. So that's still there at all locations. We've actually made one application for a dishwasher that we're waiting on approval for.
And can't speak for legislation, obviously, but we're at the end of the 5-year facility plan, and like Mr. Danner said, the meeting yesterday, we've successfully gone through the first phase of qualifying for COPS money for the next 5 years in those projects listed.
Perfect.
there. Now, it's not all the way through. You all will ultimately approve participation in that plan when it finishes, but he has made it, yesterday, that meeting helped make the first step.
I'm trying to see if that document had that in there, Adam, which I don't see.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No,
I'm
not
just
at all. It's
thinking
been there
ahead.
for quite some
I'll give him
time.
his money later.
But again, COPS, you know, Fannin County, we are so blessed because of SPLOST. Some of the southern counties don't have SPLOST. And, you know, they've got, you know, educating kids out of shacks. So that's where COPS money come from, is from the legislator to help schools, build new schools and that sort of thing. That's fractions of the dollar on how much it's going to cost. But again, that's that's what I was going to say is the total of the GMP for the HVAC, all of them, was $3.9 million and change. The total COPS money that we're going to be receiving is $1.2 million. So actually, out of the 3.9 total GMP, we're only going to have to pay 2.6 and change
And that 2.6 comes out of SPLOST.
out of SPLOST.
That's very important.
Out of SPLOST.
Any other discussion? All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chair, next item on the agenda is safety update, and I wanted Mr. Danner to speak on behalf of the principals and on the system of the things that we keep trying to layer in place for safety. We all know that safety is not a one and done, and there's not one thing, but the more layers we can put on there for our children in our community, the better we are. So with that said, I would love for him to be able to update y'all on what's.
Yeah, and a lot, you know, most of this or a lot of this, but again, just want to highlight it. You know, we're very fortunate. We have an SRO at every school. We've actually got 2 at the high school. Actually, we've got 1/3 of our SRO fleet here with us tonight, Lieutenant Couch and Deputy Ciderani. So again, we're very pleased for that. The new school safety grant, is that the one? There's so many grants out there. We are given so much money, each school is, for safety, and we use that safety grant to pay for our SROs. So we pay for 3 SROs. We're using the safety grant to do that, and the Fannin County Sheriff's Office pays, or the county commissioners pay for the other 3 SROs. So again, we are very blessed to have our SROs. Audio enhancement, again, that's what was installed at all schools district-wide. That's going to, if Georgia ever passes Alyssa's law, which is a mandated panic button or silent alarms, mass communication, the audio enhancement that we installed completely covers it. We're going to be in compliance with Alyssa's law when Georgia passes it. It's not if, it's just when they're going to pass it. And what was great about audio enhancement is we used the CARES money, ESSER money for that. We only had to pay a portion out of that out of SPLOST funds. So again, that is a very, very unique situation we have. Double buzz-ins are now at every school. Again, what that means is every door should be locked at all schools now. There should not be one door unlocked at any time. So a visitor comes in to any of our schools at the front entrance, instead of them coming to the lobby area and then the office secretaries buzz them in to get into the building, now the office ladies can see who's in that, you know, see who's trying to get into the waiting area to get into that. So again, we have that at all schools now. We've always had the visitor check-in where, you know, you've got to go to this area, you got to put a sticker on, so we know who's in our building. Our keyless entry, we've had that since 2016. We keep adding doors for that. Again, not only is it for convenience, it's also for a click of a button. Our electronic doors can be locked down, which is now actually tied to audio enhancement, so that is completed. Classroom doors, we've always in the past have tried to figure out a way to do the lock, have a classroom door locked, but let admin be able to just come in very easily without a key. Since the Barrow County issue, we've we've mandated, not a policy, it is a practice, it is expectations. We want all classroom doors locked where kids are in the building because the exterior doors are locked. Just one more layer of security that we've done. Vector Solutions, we've had it for quite some time. Again, that's where people can send in online tips. It can be anonymous, or they could put their names in there. So again, we do have that. We do have a hotline. That's the number there. The Vector Solutions, again, we actually talked about it today, about some other things. But actually today, this morning, Kevin Stanfield, he is the Area 6 Coordinator for GEMA and Homeland Security. He was on our campuses today. I met him at the high school this morning at 8:30. He completed a school safety site assessment on each of our 5 schools. What that is a 17-page document with checklists. Do you have this? Do you have this? You know, is it applicable to you or not? And we pretty much walked every campus today. We started at the high school because he was coming up from Atlanta. Then we hit Blue Ridge. Then we went to the middle school. Then we went to East and finished at West today. And we had to do the safety site assessment because we have requested through GEMA and Homeland Security to do a STAR audit. Ms. Collis, if you'll go down to the next page. What a STAR audit is a site threat assessment and response audit. So, you know, all that big old, all that means is we want GEMA and Homeland Security to come up in street clothes, unidentified, no badge, no nothing, and we want them to come on our campuses and see how far, see how good we are. I talked to our SROs, and I said, hey, will this hurt y'all's feelings? And they said, we want them to come because, you know, we're not trying to hide anything. They do that for a living. We all get in our routine. We walk by things every day and don't think anything about it. A fresh set of eyes come in and look around. And then also is just see, is our staff, of our students, how good have we trained them? Walk up on campus, if they can see a door open, which better not be, but if they see a door open, go in and see how far they can get into a building before somebody questions them. And so that's coming. I don't know when it's coming. They won't tell me when it's coming. But for them to do that STAR audit, we had to do that site assessment, which was completed today.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ms. Callis.
And Mr. Danner, I believe another thing that was on that could either go on each school list or the first one was the clear backpack implementation as well.
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah, that is district-wide. Each school's a little bit unique. At Blue Ridge, I know some additional fencing has been put in per not only the admin request, but also SROs to just make it more safe. So Blue Ridge is about as fenced in as you can get because it's surrounded by a county road or a city road. On the bus pad there, we can't put a gate because it's just you'd be opening and closing that gate because that's a lot of area. But again, we talked to our camera people. They put in a new camera that has you can put a section on that camera where if a vehicle or a person walks across that area, it's really like a doorbell. And what that does is it sends the office personnel, sends the principals, the admin, on who just crossed that threshold on the bus pad. So again, it's not going to prevent them from coming, but it's going to tell them immediately that somebody's on the bus pad. So that was added at Blue Ridge, and then Blue Ridge has 88 digital cameras. East, additional fencing, some vehicle gates. East Fannin has 73 digital cameras. Same thing at West, additional fencing, vehicle gates, 69 cameras. Middle school added a gate there. So now everybody has to funnel into the parking lot there at the middle school. Middle school has 129. Same thing at the high school, 2 gates added. So once buses leave in the morning, the gates close at the exit to where you have to enter and exit now with a vehicle there at the PAC. District-wide, we have 698 digital cameras. That's it, Ms. Dewars.
Great.
I like that 698 cameras.
That's
That
true.
tells it all.
That's true. Mr. Kevin, I called Kevin and Mr. Stanfield. He's actually a good friend of mine. I've been to several trainings with him, and when he left today, he was very complimentary. Not only did I walk them around, but every location we went to, we got admin, and I let admin take them around. He showed them what he wanted to see. It wasn't a pass-fail type thing. It was just, he made seen some things that he made suggestions on, some recommendations on, but they don't mandate it. Hey, this will make it a whole lot more safer if you'll do this. And maintenance department hate when we do things like this because by the end of the day, we've already got 60-something additional work orders, just minor things that again, we see every day. Just putting some screens on doors and windows that, again, a lot of things that can be done very simply. That's just going to make our kids more safe.
Thank you, Mr. Aaron. This is something that we've talked about for about 2 years now, trying to get it implemented.
Yeah, the STAR audit. Yeah, it's you can't just call them and they come the next day. It's a process as well.
Okay. Anything for the banner on the safety? Mr. Chair, next item on the agenda is construction and facilities update.
Ms. Collis, I'll just let you scroll. Again, each slide starts with a before and after picture. Again, so I think a lot of you have seen that, the first picture of each. The last several weeks have not been kind to us because of the weather and the rain and everything, but any day they can work, they are there. Because anybody that's got that much equipment there, if that equipment's not moving, they're not getting paid. And so they're wanting to work. They work through on Saturdays as well. And so again, it's very exciting. And, board or, if anybody wants to know what areas are at those locations, I'll be glad to discuss that with you. And, looking at blueprints a lot of times and site plans, it's very difficult to understand what some things are. That was actually yesterday. They were delivering more concrete. Those last couple pictures right there, I'm going to give the high school, Mr. Perry, Mr. Reuter. I asked him, I said, hey, y'all got a drone, don't you? He said, yeah, absolutely. I said, can you assign a student to once a week, go take me some pictures? So again, that is some of the pictures there that our students have taken of the project there. So again, there's some couple things. I want him to take some different shots, but again, I want to give them credit for that, for taking those pictures.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Chair, next item on the agenda is to approve public hearings related to Georgia House Bill 581. And if Ms. Collis, if you will pull that presentation up, please, ma'am. House Bill 581, or Georgia House Bill 581, is a property tax reform bill that was passed during the 2024 legislative session and was placed on the November ballot as a referendum. In that House bill, certain political subdivisions have an opportunity, including school districts, to opt out of this exemption. And opting out of the exemption, an exemption would be to it decreases the amount of revenue that a school can collect on property taxes or any other entity that it's assigned to. This one particularly, we're talking about school districts. Even though that provision for opting out for certain entities are in the referendum, there's certain steps that you have to follow in order to be able to successfully go through that process. And those 5 steps are outlined there. One of the things that I want to talk about tonight is item number 2. One of the things that has to be done is to hold 3 public hearings. And so tonight what I'm going to do is the recommendation for the dates, time, and places of those 3 public hearings for the school board to be able to participate in, to hear from the public about their thoughts regarding House Bill 581. So Ms. Collis, if you'll go to the next one. there's going to be 3 public hearings in all 5 government entities in Fannin County, consisting of the school board, the county commissioners, McCaysville City, Morganton, and Blue Ridge City. Will participate and hold these public hearings on the same date, time, and places. We'll open individual meetings if this timeline is approved tonight. First one would be January the 15th at 6 p.m. at the Fannin County Courthouse. The exact room and address of the courthouse is advertised in the newspaper. If you'll look back at the other page, that's also another one of the requirements. The second meeting would be January 22nd, 2025 at 10 a.m. It will also take place at the Fannin County Courthouse. And then the third meeting will take place on January the 30th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. at the Fannin County High School Performing Arts Center. There's an asterisk on there because the first attempt, if any meeting has to be canceled due to inclement weather, not that we ever have to cancel anything around here due to weather, would be automatically rescheduled the 31st. And then if there's more interruptions, of course, those meeting times and dates would be advertised in accordance to what the Georgia Code requires to follow this process. So one unique thing about this is an opportunity to stand together as a county and to hear a collective voice, kind of like what we put back to the school system earlier in our vision. It is a collective voice. The school system, I do believe, is the pinnacle or the cornerstone of any community, and we are very blessed to be the cornerstone of this community because everything that we do impacts every human being that lives in this county, whether they have children or not. So it's a good day when all government entities in the same county can collaborate to come together to collectively hear the voice of the citizens. And that was the purpose of collectively holding the meetings together when we heard, is that all governing bodies can hear the same voice from the same citizens as we move forward. So with that said, Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation to approve public hearings related to Georgia House Bill 581.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Board, we have a recommendation. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to approve district financial report. Ms. Nguyen.
Good evening, Madam Superintendent, Board. So this evening we have our November the 30th, 2024 financial statements, which is 41.66% complete for our fiscal year. And I'll just kind of go in and try to explain our general fund statement a little bit in more detail for you. We've got, if you start up at the top, you've got your revenue sources, local, state, federal, and then other sources. And then our 25 budget column, and then our 25 year-to-date of what we have received, and then the balance of what's remaining, and then a percent collected. So if you look at the total available sources, we've received 31.73% of our budget so far this year. Next month will be a big change because it was December. And then we can continue on and look at our November expenditures, and those are listed by function, and each function has its description, and then each line category has the amount used as well as year-to-date expended. Encumbered means we've got purchase orders that have been issued and what's remaining. So we've spent 27.88% of our budget at this point in November for general fund. And then we can go on to, we have our capital projects, and it's all set up on the same format. So you can see we've collected the 19.46% in revenue and spent 12.67% of our budget in capital projects this year. And then our special revenues, and that's a little different because our special revenues come from the state, and we're in the process of getting new and updating because they their CONAPs are approved in Title I and carried over. So you'll see amendments for those as they come in the next couple of months for all the different amendments. But currently, from what we advertise for our special revenues, we've received 23.84% of that revenue, expended 36.81%, and that will always be that way because we have to expend it first before we can receive it. And then we have our school nutrition report for the month of November with their revenue and expenditures.
Thank you, Ms. Wynn. Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation to approve as presented.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, sir. Is there any discussion? All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is SPLOST update. Ms. Wynn?
So we have our SPLOST. We received $938,087.34 in December, which was what was collected from sales for the month of November, which gives us collections in this SPLOST of $37,333,740.79. But we have one more month that we will still receive collections in this SPLOST. I've spoken with the state and the actual collections. So all the merchants now in January, their sales are on our new SPLOST, but we won't receive that money until February. Because January 31st, we'll get our last collection on the SPLOST 5. So then we'll start our next collection. So we'll still have one more, December 12th we'll fill in, and we'll have that will be our last collection on this SPLOST. And if we look right now, we have $848,494 is our average that we've collected in the last 44 months for this SPLOST. And so far, we've collected the $37 million, like I said. And our next SPLOST, we can collect $53 million. So, and really, how long that you could collect that depends on if you go back to look at the 44-month average, you might be shy of the 60-month, or if you use the 12-month average, it may come out to be the 60-month. But we never know what, once we get the first 12 months in the column, you can see more of a trend of, we never know what our economy is going to do. It's like a weather forecast.
Thank you for that, Ms. Wynn. Basically, the two ways that SPLOST would end is either you collect the cap amount that the voters voted on, or the 60-month window runs out.
Correct. So, like with this, we're allowed in the Department of Revenue tells you when you can finish. If you go over the cap, it lets you continue that quarter to finish. So that's why we're allowed to collect more than what the cap is, because they start and they stop when we can collect. But if you didn't collect what's in your referendum, you go the entire 60 months.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Wynn. Next item on the agenda is to approve Mountain Education bus request. Mr. Drury?
Good afternoon, board members, Madam Superintendent. Mountain Education has a bus request for y'all to request y'all's approval. The Mountain Education, our Fannin County campus, request a bus for their upcoming trip on Thursday, February 13th of 2025 to North Georgia Technical College in Blairsville. They will be responsible for the cost of the fuel and the driver.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation to approve as presented.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Board, we have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Are you driving the bus?
That'd be a negative, sir.
All in favor
Lucky
by
for them.
raised hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, unanimous. Thank you, man.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a blessed evening.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, Board, guys, first of all, Ms. Kennedy, I'm extremely proud of you. You did something that most big people are not brave enough to do, and I don't know if I could do it. And I get butterflies. I've done this more than once, and when everybody gets quiet in here, I get butterflies and feel like I'm going to throw up. But don't tell anybody I said that. Not only that, you being passionate enough and having empathy for your friends to come tonight, you're amazing. And I need you to whisper to your mama that she did a really good job speaking as well. And tell her next time that she has to go first. Okay. And Mr. Smiley, thank you for your point of view and thank you for your words. So I appreciate the faculty and staff of this Fannin County school system. They are amazing. And the ways that they're most amazing can't be measured on a data sheet. Board, it's a new day. It's 2025. It is a jubilee. God is good. Everyone is created for such a time as this. And we're going to praise him along the way. And I thank him for each one of you. And with that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Since I'm a southern gentleman, I want to thank all three of the board members, but I'm going to allow Ms. Weeks to go first.
No pressure.
Ladies first.
Kennedy did it.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm just so blessed to have this opportunity to serve my hometown that I've been born and raised in. I look forward to the adventure. Super excited about it. And I'll second what she said. Public speaking is hard. If you haven't, I mean, there's a difference in me sitting here talking to you versus walking down that ramp and speaking to people who are just staring at you with a timer rolling. It's very difficult to do. And then just for you, Kennedy, that just touches my heart because I live in a situation that you're speaking of, and empathy is not as common as you would think. And to have empathy, I don't see empathy in a lot of adults, much less in a 9-year-old. So it's very impressive, and y'all done a great job with her, obviously. And just to every public speaker, just thank you. We appreciate it, and we encourage people to come to the board. We don't know issues until we hear them presented to us, and that's how you make real change. And I'm sure y'all probably tired of me talking about mission and vision statements, but I think it's huge. If you can't define who you are, then where are you going? And how are we going to make serious change in Fannin County if we don't have those things in place? So I look forward to that process as well, and just thank you, all you guys who come out today. It's important, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Mr. Patterson.
I'd like to say I'm thankful for this opportunity as well. I've served my community, and I'm looking forward to 4 years of serving on the board. I want to say just a couple things. Thanks to the Fergusons, some other people that I see that came out tonight. I want to encourage y'all to come back. Thank you for the public speaking. I know it is hard. It was hard for me. I'm not good at that either. So, we want you to come in and tell us what's on your mind. And I want you to have enough confidence. I want y'all to have confidence that we hear you and that we're listening, okay? So if you have anything, I've put my phone number out there. I've put my information out there. You can also reach out, if you've got any of the public or anybody that, knows us, knows that we're open to hearing what you got to say. So thank y'all for your public speaking. And then as far as the bags go, it's a touchy subject, and I thank you for what you brought to us tonight. And I have to say I'm glad that we have a good relationship with our SRO, and I'm excited to see how well we can work with them to figure some of this stuff out. So I know school safety's been a big topic, and then it gets forgot about, and then something happens, and then it's at the forefront again. So I'm looking forward to working with Darvin and his guys, and I want everybody to be confident that that's what we're going to be doing. because it is a big deal. And so thank you for what you said, and that's all I've got.
Mr. Bourne.
I want to thank everybody for being here this evening. I know it's been a long meeting, and I appreciate your time. It's an honor to be here. It's a privilege to serve. I'd certainly be remiss if I didn't thank the previous school system superintendents and board members and retired employees and current employees to get us to where we are. Fannin County is, in my opinion, one of the best school systems around, and somebody had to pave that way for us to get to where we are. I'm excited to be here for 25, and excited to see where we go. I certainly appreciate the comments from you guys. Young lady, I'm very proud of you. There's not many students that would be bold enough to stand up here and talk to us, and I'm glad you did. I hope you're encouraging others to do so as well. Those of you that spoke, we hear your voice. We'll certainly take it into consideration. Mr. Price, I wanted to thank you. East Fannon's got a soft spot in my heart because my kids went there. And one of the best things, I spoke with at a meeting at East Fannin one time about one of the best things about the school, and one of the best things my kids remember about that school is at drop-off in the mornings. They'll never forget that, and it's a memory that stuck with them, and it's a memory that stuck with me. When I had my youngest hair cut, he had real curly hair, and got a real close haircut. The next day, the teacher in the pickup line cried when I opened the door and his hair was cut. So keep doing what you're doing. I know we'll hear from other schools, but just wanted to highlight you today. Great job out there. I love the collaboration on the vision plan. I think that gives every stakeholder in the community a voice, and I think you guys will see that. Outside of that, thank you guys for allowing me to be here and allowing me to serve you. With that, I'll yield.
Mr. Beard.
I ain't got much to say. I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight. Thank our principals for coming out. I know that probably you don't have to, but thank you for coming. Thank you for the SROs. Safety is number one with the Fannin County school system. Mr. Danner, I don't think you get paid enough, son.
Don't, Mr. Beard, don't give him the big head.
Well, of all he done presenting tonight, I mean, I can't give him a raise, but he needs a raise. Anyhow, we're excited about things that's going on for the school system, for our children, and our children is where it's at. That's why I'm here, and I hope that's why everybody that's sitting on this board is here, for our children. We got to keep in mind we got teachers and principals and custodians and stuff like that. They're part of our plan too. But Fannin County is the best school in Georgia. I think so. I'll just leave you with this. I love you. I hope 2025 is a lot better than 2024 was. Not that I'm saying 2024 was really bad, but I look forward to greater things for our school system in 2025. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a great 2025. I'm looking forward to working with these guys and gals and to really do some improvements. Maybe there's, Mr. Danner said, walking around, there are people that see things that you don't see. And so iron sharpens iron. I don't care where you're at. That's what the word says. And so I'm always looking to be sharpened. I'm never want to think that I know everything. So I'm looking for people that can sharpen me, because I'm hungry to grow as a leader and to be a better person. And saying that, we have two really good people, SRO Couch and also SRO Seriani. I thank you for all that you do. Thank you for being here tonight. I love your enthusiasm, and especially Mr. Seriani. I don't get to see Mr. Couch in action that much, but I get to see him, and he gets the kids revved up. They're excited. I'm glad they get to rub elbows with him and know that he's there to protect and serve. That's an awesome thing, because many people think the police are the bad guys, but I'm thankful that they know that they're there to protect and serve. That's a big deal to my grandbaby that runs around there pulling on his shirt tail. So I'm excited about that. I thank you, young lady, for your comments and your ability to get up there and to speak in front of us. I'm excited for that. So I'm looking forward to a great year. It is the year of Jubilee. I won't keep saying it, because I'm looking for a great experience for our kids this year to really, man, when you look back at all the awards, football, track and field, we just had those here last month. I mean, it's amazing that what our kids are accomplishing, how high a level they are, going to the CTAE, going to skills competition and watching those guys compete. And when you talk about that, they're doing it right in front of everybody. They're not doing it off by themselves. Everybody's got their eye on them, and to perform and to bring home the whole thing. The Big Daddy, they carrying out welders and all that stuff. I'm excited for vocational. That's my background. I'm really excited about that. Well, with that being said, I want to thank all the principals and staff for all that you do, because I know your heart. I've been able to do what my little granddaughter does. I've been able to rub shoulders with you, and I see your passion. I see your desire to teach those kids to make it a better place. So thank you so much. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor by raised hand. We are dismissed.
Woo-hoo.